Todd Boehly, under fire again. It seems like he's been under fire since he's bought Chelsea, being very controversial, but this time it's because he's been floating around the idea of possibly adding an all-star game to the Premier League. Now, if you don't know what an all-star game is, let me give you a quick summary. This is in American sports like the NFL, basketball, and baseball, where mid-season, the best players who've been having the best year and the stars go and play a match. The teams are divided into two and play a match, and then money's raised. Typically, the money goes to a certain charity or something like that. And Todd Boehly has thrown out the idea of North England versus South England. The stars of each side play a match against each other. The money would end up going to the smaller teams like Bournemouth, Watford, in order to try to close the gap between the small teams and like Man City. And I think this is actually a good idea, and it's getting overhated because honestly, if you check the earnings from the recent All-Star game in LA of baseball, it made $200 million according to Todd Boehly. Now, compare the ticket prices from the All-Star game in LA to, let's say, Arsenal versus Man United. The Arsenal-Man United game is way more expensive than the All-Star game tickets. It really is. It's surprising, isn't it? Well, now imagine the All-Star game. It's going to be even more expensive. I assume it'd probably be in Wembley, even more expensive. So I think multiply the earnings times 3. $600 million is what I'm estimating would be made off a Premier League All-Star game. And if that money is used right to the smaller teams, it could really benefit the Premier League as a whole. So this isn't a terrible idea. It's overhated. Now, the real question is, would it work? I actually agree with the likes of Jurgen Klopp and the fans who have been criticizing this idea. It would not work. It just wouldn't work because you see the sports in America not really have as many, tournaments as football in the world. You would see the Premier League games, cup games, European competitions, and then international competitions. Over here you just have the basketball league. You don't really have to go out and perform for the National League if you don't want. You can just opt out. It's very common that people opt out of that kind of stuff. NFL doesn't have National League. Baseball, it's once every 4 years. You're seeing that mini World Cup baseball league happening in 2023. That happens every 4 years. It's not as common as, football. And that really plays a factor. Now, how do you squeeze in an all-star game when you have Champions League fixtures, Cup fixtures, and all that? It's going to be really hard to do. And not only that, it adds another match, could potentially cause an injury, or how seriously are the players going to be taking this? Now this year, how would you fit in this year the All-Star game when you have the World Cup in November? It would be crazy. And then Jurgen Klopp brought out the point that those sports have 4-month breaks. Over here, a lot of times the 2-month break, the 2-3 month break that football players have, they end up getting consumed by international tournaments, and the breaks that are being given to the players are international breaks during the season, and they end up getting consumed by international games. So there's really not a lot of breaks for footy players. So the All-Star game potentially wouldn't work due to the tight schedule that players have. And then honestly, I believe that we already have our kind of style of a All-Star game because national teams are really big. And I believe that's the best of each country playing against each other. And we already have our kind of edition of a bit of an all-star game when you take account of the World Cup, the Euros, the Copa America. All these things are very similar and even better because you see, kind of all-star games, the best of each country compete in a tournament, not just one game, in a tournament. So I think personally, this idea isn't terrible. People are overhating it. It'd be really interesting to see how an all-star game would play out. And if the money would be used right, I don't see why we wouldn't try and do it, see how it plays out. But I could see a lot of players not doing it, opting out of doing it because they just don't want to go out there and, risk themselves of an injury just for the benefits of Bournemouth. Imagine Mohamed Salah saying, why am I going to go out there, play my hardest, risk myself of an injury, just for all the money that was going to be made, go to a small team. Like, it just doesn't make sense for him, for the stars. And it potentially wouldn't work. I think it's a good idea. It's worth, seeing how it could play out, but it doesn't work. Due to the scheduling, the players taking it seriously, injuries and all that. We already got our style of all-star games. Football doesn't really have, national teams and all that, and we do. So I think it's not really the end of the world. It's a nice idea. Don't hate on it too much. It's worth, seeing how it is. But, it's just people fearful that the Premier League can get Americanized, which I don't blame them because the Premier League is, English football. And it's, English people should have control of it. We're seeing more and more American owners go in there and buy a big team. So I can see why, they want to keep it as English as possible. And now that we're seeing more and more ownership be American. But anyways, leave a comment down below if you think the All-Star game would work or if it just would not. And I want to know your reasoning in the comments, and leave a like and subscribe for more videos. And thank you guys for watching.